Are you on a forklift?
Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
All right, everybody. Buongiorno, bianconeri. Welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel, where, of course, it's all Juve all the time. It is game day, okay? Juventus versus Freiburg in the Europa League first leg. And my, we always have something to talk about, and today is no different, as we've got some big news in terms of the lineup, some discipline coming down on Monsieur Pogba.
Lucci got a
man.
today.
And then we've got big news coming out of yesterday as well. But we're going to keep it with the match to start and do things a little differently and hold back the news of the days leading up to it for probably after we preview this game. I got Anthony. I got Omer. We're going to say what's up real quick to everybody in the live chat here. We got Apex coming in. Ciao, AJC Army. Hope everyone's having a good morning. We need to make a statement after that loss to Roma. Let's take it out on Freiburg. All right. Nice. Jeremiah, guys, we have to win tonight. German sides are very compact. Since we're not prolific enough, have to create many chances for ourselves. Consistent high press is a must. We were getting mixed reports about possibly seeing the trident, and the latest says no trident. So again, we'll bring all that up into the discussion. Everybody else is in here too saying what's up. Let's get ready for this big game. It's a big one today. Guys, we're going to kick things off with number one, Miretti news. Miretti should be in the lineup taking Fagioli's spot. And I'm going to ask you guys right off the hop how you feel about Miretti coming into this one and Fagioli being the one that's out for it. And Anth, why don't you start us off?
Well, Fagioli got beat like he stole something in the last two games. Like he was taking some hits the last couple of games. You know, he's got those little wee legs too. So like Lucci, like little legs, like statuette legs.
Yeah, he skips leg day all the time, you could tell.
So he needs a rest. Like in all honesty, he needs a rest. But isn't it weird that like we did it with MDS as well? Like these players are off for extended period of time. Bonucci, but then they just get inserted into a starting lineup. I don't know. It's a little bit of question marks for me, but Fagioli does need a rest.
Yeah,
interesting. Omar?
I think it's the same case. Fagioli needs a rest. First time at those levels, playing every 3 days, and even Allegri said that he ran his ass off in the last two matches. So Miretti back. I mean, was he out for that long? I don't feel like he was out for 3 months. What is it? 2 weeks? It's not that severe. I mean, he didn't have any tear or anything. Yeah, it didn't feel like too long. So anything that keeps Paredes off, too bad about Pogba. But that, and I mean, who else do we have? It's either Paredes or Miretti.
I don't know. It's weird to me. We keep hearing about guys not having competitive minutes before their comebacks, but then you see guys that are against that statement from Max, like obviously De Sciglio when he came back immediately in. Now you have Miretti, and he's relatively in pretty quick in a very, very important game. But I hope it works out, and I hope he has a big game for us. We need it. I've had an unpopular opinion as of late about Miretti, stating that potentially next season I might want to send him out on loan, and that's been an unpopular opinion, but it is what it is. I think his game is not translating from the jump from next gen to Serie A for me. That's just me personally. But again, we'll see what happens. I hope he has an incredible game today, since he's going to be the one in there. Now, Pogba. This is the news everybody wants to tackle right out of the gate. Paul Pogba is not even on the lineup sheet. Okay. So not even on the squad list for disciplinary action for being late. Guys, I know where this is going immediately from the green room and the team chat. Your thoughts? I know I already know where this is going, but your thoughts, and everybody in the chat. Please. Paul Pogba, how do you guys feel about it? And guys on TikTok, just so you're aware, if you're tuning in here on TikTok, you can head over to YouTube channel, subscribe, and your comments will come in onto the show. But guys, what do you think? Omar?
My thoughts are similar to yours. What you said earlier, what we talked about in the green room. it feels a bit severe. I mean, okay, he's been late for the first time this season, and Keane was fine too for doing something in the level of discipline in the team is ranked a bit higher. Straight red at 40 seconds in. So
41 seconds.
I get why they need to do it. I still think it's a bit severe, but can do preferences. If you were going to do that to anyone, then Pogba is no difference. Too bad we won't have him today, though.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that rules
Yes,
need
you
to
are.
be broken. What I'm
Yes, you
saying is the rules need to make sense.
They do.
Because for me, that's not apples to apples. If you're going to make the rule that you are excluded from a squad list for being late, then I would expect a severe punishment rather than $20,000 fine, which is pocket change to these guys, for a guy kicking somebody in the back of the leg after 40 seconds of being on the pitch
41
when you're
seconds.
chasing a game and being expelled. So that's what I'm arguing. Not that rules need to be broken for Paul or any player, but we need to really look at that. And I will remind everybody, if you're going to make the stance that rules are rules, Paul needs to deal with this, whatnot, I want to take you back to the Cristiano Ronaldo scenario of being late, and what he faced was not pulled off the list. Walking away from your team off the pitch, whatever, also just a fine, and leaving the city, which apparently was not, again, in club rules, but they said, oh, we allowed him to after he had already did it, and they didn't want to face the nonsense. So, again, I'm going to just say that. Let's look at maybe fixing the rules.
Yeah, I think it feels like he got a straight red. I mean, the club should have given him a yellow card, first time, okay, next time, you're off the team. But they went out with a straight red on something that is not, that doesn't require a straight red card. And? Weird from the club.
Well, you two have already made your points, and then you've already shit on my point before I even made my point. All right. So, yes, rules are rules. Now, we don't know if this is the first time he's been late. It could be the 25th time, and they just haven't said anything before. Now, we have no indication that that's the case, but we don't know. He could have been late every day this week.
We would know.
You don't know.
We would know.
Well, or we wouldn't, because we don't hear about all that stuff.
No,
so
because
we don't know
they
if
get punishment. They get punishment. We would know.
The weird thing is, we saw him yesterday training, separately from the team. Him, Deshilio, and Sule. I don't know. I don't know if they were called. All those guys, I think they weren't. So maybe he's been injured before. I don't know. He trained yesterday without the team.
Do you think they're hiding the fact that he maybe had a relapse and injury?
I don't know. I'm just stating what happened. Make of it what you will. I don't think so. Maybe he trained apart because he was late, and they don't know you're not playing tomorrow, so different regimen for you. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make of it what you will.
Listen, I wanted Paul Pogba in the lineup. Let's just put that out there. I think it's overboard, but when you're trying to maintain discipline on a team, right? As Allegri is or the management is, and there's all this other stuff going on outside, you have to have some sort of structure, you have to have a set of rules, and he broke one of the rules. Now, again, we don't know if it's the first time. We don't know if he was like 2 hours late. Now, if he was like 5 minutes late, I know personally, like direct contact with an NCAA athlete, D1 basketball player, who was 10 minutes late for practice and got a game suspension. But it's like, rules are rules. They don't, and they still went to practice. They still practiced. The coach still kept them at practice, even though they were 10 minutes late.
Sure. And all that is great.
But rules are rules, man.
But again, you can't have somebody do something worse and face less from a team punishment standpoint. Even
that
if
was
you're
in a game, you can't compare the two. That was in a game. He got his. You're talking about Keane, right?
Wait. Hold on a second. Of course, you can compare the two because you're talking about discipline and you're talking about disciplining players. If one faces a fine for something that's way worse, in my opinion, because hey, life happens and so does traffic. If there's a breakdown on the friggin' highway or something and you can't get there on time, your car breaks, anything. Nobody knows the details. whatever,
wanna be
car
there.
accident. They're trying to clean up the scene. You can't get there. I'm saying maybe a strike system works, but regardless, whatever, Lucci, go work on your legs and have a protein shake. Now,
Me and Lucci today are just the one day of the year Lucci and I are on the same page. That's
it
today.
is ridiculous from keeping it in line. That's in my personal opinion. Now, all in all, I don't think Pogba would have started anyways. He would have come on as a sub, but it still takes away a big piece that you can have. So
Agreed.
if you're going to bring Keane on and have him in your lineup, I think even from being late, we have to relook at how we discipline players for what they are. Regardless, this is it.
Mhm.
This is it. Juve Freiburg today. Juve are favorites. Okay. If you're looking at the odds and you're looking at betting, 1.5 times your money if Juve wins, 5 times your money if Freiburg does. A draw somewhere in the middle, just over 3 times your money. But don't take either of those bets. I expect Juve to come out and win this one, everybody. Now, Freiburg, 5th in Bundesliga, 42 points, 7 points off the top. They're having a good season, but they're coming off a frustrating draw against Mönchengladbach. Mönchengladbach had down to 10 men, but it was relatively late in the game, later in the game when they got up by a man. But they're unbeaten in their last 5 all comps. Okay. They will end up playing in a 3-4-3 formation. They are a tricky side. They're compact. They're strong, and they know what patterns they want to hit to try and attack. There's a couple guys that are question marks though for them, one of them being key, and that's Daniel Kofi Chiesa. And if he is in there, he will be trouble, and that will be up to Locatelli because he is very strong at finding pockets around the area up top in there. It's gonna be interesting. It's going to be interesting if he starts or not, because that will change things drastically for Freiburg, and it'll make Locatelli he'll have to be extremely aware there. All right. Now, if we get to Juventus, we know we're coming off the 1-0 loss to Roma. Sandro, obviously doubtful, which made things change a bit, but today it appears that he's going to be in there. So we were waiting. He was doubtful leading up to this one. He's going to be in there. Okay. In terms of us, we were getting the rumors we talked about of the Trident. Not going to happen. This is what you should see for lineup. Szczesny, Danilo, Bremer, Sandro, Quadrado, Meretti, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic with Di Maria and Vlahovic up top. Coffee with Cards. Shout out to them. Great group out there in Ontario. Love them. If you guys, I get back into the hobby, hey, you like trading cards and whatnot, those are the guys to check out.
Shout out.
Guys, you got the lineups. How do you feel going into this one? We're not going to get the predictions just yet, but how do you guys feel about this game?
Well, I don't have the stomach acids yet. That doesn't happen for a while. Really, when I log into the main account on Twitter and put out the first tweet for game, that's when they really start cooking and I start reaching for the Pepto. Yeah, man, it's the same for me as going to the knots. Like we should handle this team. We should, with this lineup, with this opponent at home, the big S word, we should handle this team. So I'm not too concerned at the moment. Quick question for people out there, for you guys. I saw on the app, is the draw already set? Like we know who the next opponent is, or is the next round, are the opponents drawn again?
Drawn again.
Drawn again.
Okay, so yeah, so just deal with this one. I really think this should be a comfortable win today.
Yeah, maybe we'll get into the stats soon, and to review Freiburg a bit.
Do it right now.
No, so we'll do it with Al and everything. Just
forget Al. He's all bitter today.
The feeling is that they are a team who knows how to take chances. They don't have tons of possession and stuff. So their away record is not good. So this should be a win for us because their home record is a lot better. They have a great team, a great set of fans, a scary stadium, and we haven't performed too well in those scenarios.
Scary. Ooh.
They're a cut above Nantes, and shut up. They're a cut above Nantes. But if we really want to get, to be able to compete with the Arsenals and United, Real Sociedad, we need to beat this Freiburg team, especially at home. away, we need to be compact. So that's what I'm hoping today. The feeling is good. I'm actually pretty positive.
So we agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, Juve should win. We've heard that quite a bit this
Big ass
season.
word.
But we'll see what happens. Freiburg's going to be tricky, but Juve should pull this up. This is, to me, when you look at form and whatnot, we're up and down. This is a battle of inform versus quality, because if you look at the quality, Juve's got the edge of quality on the pitch, but that doesn't necessarily usually pan out. So it's going to be one of those games where it's an informed team that's very organized, that knows what they want to accomplish on the pitch, versus quality again. And if we can throw it together, which Juventus is going to show up? That's going to be the question. Now, I'm going to ask you guys some questions because I've seen it in the chat and everything. Now, would you have started Federico Chiesa? And would you have gone 3-4-3 to get him out there if that's what it took? And
No,
this is for everyone on the
3-4-3.
chat too as well.
No on the 3-4-3, but yes for Chiesa. Maybe I don't know how, but find a way to play him in important matches.
Well, let's talk about how would you do that if you want to stay in the 3-5-1-1.
Maybe
Is it
even
Di Maria?
maybe even give Di Maria a rest. I mean, every match is important, the league matches, and we don't have the game on Tuesday like we had in the previous Europa League games. So it's straight on Sunday. We need those guys fresh, tons of rotation to make anyway. Give Chiesa the run. You have Di Maria on the bench. Use him if you need him.
Di Maria is our best player. He has to start. At the moment, Di Maria is our best player. I would have started the 3-4-3. For me, this is Chiesa. He's still throttling Chiesa's minutes. That's the only thing I can see here. There's still worries about fatigue. You know, who do we got on the weekend? Sampdoria?
Yeah.
Man. I would have found a way to play that 3-4-3 today.
So here's the
To
thing.
answer your question.
Here's the thing. We got to sacrifice something.
Yep.
We got to sacrifice something. Because if you go 3-4-3, you end up two-man pivot. The last time we saw it was what? Fiorentina. And a better team could have countered us at will. Fiorentina was not capable, whatnot. So you give up a bit there. If you want to get a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 going, I'm sorry, the back line doesn't cut it for me as a back four. Kostic as a left back. We're going to talk about that too and play that in, because everybody's saying he's got all the characteristics. He can do it. I don't see it defensively. I see too many switch offs, and when guys make runs and whatnot, but it can be worked on and it can be developed. But are we at that stage of the season to do that? In my opinion, no.
That's why I said no.
Yeah, in my opinion, no. So 3-4-3 to get the trident up top. Here's the thing. Are we solid enough in the 3-5-1-1 to deny us of the trident? This is what it comes down to for me. This team needs to score goals, and I don't see it happening in a 3-5-1-1 because Max is not going to change the setup of the midfielders. He is not going to change how they operate. So for that reason alone, we're going to see Di Maria continue to drop back and try to pull strings and call shots. Miretti could be an interesting one because when he gets more advanced, he's got to pull it together and he's got to make himself a little more effective. Maybe that's where Fagioli, I would expect Fagioli to shine, but he had some struggles getting more involved when he was higher up the pitch over the last couple games. And again, probably needs a rest. But if we're not going to change the midfield setup, I probably would have went 3-4-3 and dealt with a little bit of space in the midfield from the two pivots just to get those guys out, because we need goals and they're not coming. And another thing is, it's one more guy to play closer to Vlahovic because we have to get the guy involved. And Chiesa will get Vlahovic involved. You can see it a little bit differently when the two of them are up there because Chiesa does look to kind of play off, and Vlahovic tends to gravitate towards him and want to play off him one on. And I don't know if it's something that the two of them had discussed and figured out, but it's a little bit different. I probably would have been the bullet on the midfield and went 3-4-3. but it's
And
not the
then
be all end all. But that's just my personal opinion, guys.
with Rabiot and Locatelli in there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe with Miretti, we'll see something that's more similar to a 3-4-3 with Miretti playing a bit higher than what Fagioli usually makes, where he usually stands. I kind of hope Max does it because it plays better to the abilities of Miretti. I think he's far better offensively than defensively.
yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping to see. But so far, our main core this season is this Lucatelli-Rabiot partnership. So as long as it's there, can partner whoever. Everyone is not 100% fit or 100% informed anyway.
Yeah. Now, of course, we're going to get to predictions, not right now. Okay. There's still a lot of other news. We've got news on Milik because Dell's coming in here. How long is Milik out for? So we got some positive news yesterday. Actually, quite a few good tidbits of news yesterday, but one was on Milik, and all of a sudden going from back after international break, he could potentially be back for the Derby d'Italia on March 19th. So things are picking up for Milik. Could be back ahead of schedule, but definitely around that time in March. So still, week and a half, couple weeks out for Milik, but good news that it could be before international break. Obviously, we got to talk about TAR. Okay, the regional arbitration court ruling in favor of Juventus yesterday. And what they ruled in favor of was obviously the documents that have been withheld from them, okay, which could lead to everyone, the argument Juve had made earlier that the prosecution was over the time limit. And this could make everything null and void and see Juventus regain their 15 points. I want to touch on something because yesterday, and this is very, very important that we touch on this. And yesterday there was a post from Gazzetta, okay? And it, do you have it handy by any chance? Because if you can read it word for word on our translation, then I will take it from there because I just don't have it handy. So
wait, I can find it.
While these guys dig it up, I would just want to let you guys all know on something. Obviously, when we do the news and we do the translations, we lay it all out. We give you guys everything from all sources, whether they're weak or strong one not, because number one, we know you guys are all smart enough to know what to trust, what not to trust. But not only that, everyone is going to form their own opinions regardless on what they hear. You can do whatever you want with it. We lay it out for you to play it out, but you have the right and you need to know and see everything that's being said. I'm going to let Ant read this one out, okay, word for word on the translation, and then I'm going to hit a couple key points on it. So, Ant.
Okay. Excuse me. So the post is this is from the Gazzetta. So this is we posted on the All Juve cast on Twitter. Juventus want to take advantage of a procedural fault on the part of investigators to escape legal and sporting sanctions for accounting fraud. They could therefore regain the 15 lost points in Serie A. So the word escape is where everyone...
So everyone lost it on the translation, saying you shouldn't post that because it makes us sound guilty and whatnot. No, we need to post it word for word because there's a lot more going on than just the case, okay? The whole MO of outlets, Gazzetta being one of them, of always painting Juventus in this negative picture needs to be out there for all of you to see. All the Juventini have the right to see what Juventus has been dealing with. So when I hear people say, you need to censor this or alter the words there, no. Number one, you can't alter the words when you're doing translation and reporting something else because then all of a sudden it changes context and all of a sudden it's not true translation, okay? Number two, I have a problem with it because number one, we're doing this as a passion project, for God's sakes, and we're translating all this stuff and taking the time to do it for you. Number three, if you want filtered and edited shit, respectfully, you are not going to get it from us because we are not like that, okay? You deserve and have the right to read, to hear everything as it is. All right? Now, in terms of Gazzetta, of course,
yes,
you are going to have outlets that are switching around wording and whatnot because they want the clicks, they want all this and whatnot, but they've always shunned this negative light on Juventus. What was the recent one about a month ago? You see Dani Alves get in shit, and all of a sudden it's ex-Juventus player Dani Alves.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to remember Dani Alves for one season that he spent at Juventus. It's because these media outlets want to continue this MO on Juventus, but to hide it and say that, oh, we shouldn't post that. No, we need to keep highlighting it to show their MOs. That's my 2 cents anyways.
Yeah.
Guys, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, I do the news. I do a lot of the translations. And first of all, I'm not going to change words because we have responsibility, because sometimes other accounts use what we do and give us credit for it. And so if I'm making a wrong thing, it can blow up. I mean, the Italian Football Podcast had a meeting with the owner of Pescara or something, and he jokingly said that Donald Trump might try to buy Inter, or he's going to dare him to do it. And it got everywhere. Everyone thought so. It's very dangerous grounds. And we prefer and we think that everyone deserves to read the news. Gazzetta is Gazzetta. They're half of the time they're wrong. I mean, even this week they reported after the interview with Kenan Yildiz agent that he said that everything is great and everything is fine. 3 days later, Gazzetta said that he wants out and he's not satisfied. Take it all with a grain of salt. We just translate it. That's what we do. If you don't like it, then you don't have to believe it or read it.
And that's just it. We lay it out for you to play it out. Do what you
all we
want
do.
with it. If you're going to get mad at the translation, this is funny because this would be a scenario where imagine you're standing in front of two gentlemen and one is a translator for the other. And the translator says to you, yeah. So I'm translating for him, and he says he's got a knife and he hates you and he's going to kill you. Are you going to attack the translator? Or are you going to attack the guy that's about to kill you? Take your pick. Take your pick.
I want to use a different
Crucify
example.
Gazzetta, but continue to shine a light on their MO and the anti-Juve agenda. Now, as getting to the points, everybody keeps asking, what does this mean? Because there was another report stating that the salary case, and this is where people got confused. We are receiving the 15 points back, okay? However, the salary case is still open, and the latest details and reports, which still take with a grain of salt because nobody fully knows. Again, they are saying that the prosecution is going to push for a hefty fine, okay, a very, very big fine, and half points deduction. Now, nobody quite knows, and you can interpret this for however you want, again, because we're just relaying it. Half the points. Everybody is saying, is that half of the 15 points that we just received back? I read that as half of our points this season.
Total.
So what the prosecution is going to fight for in the salary case is a big, big fine financially and half of our season's points to that moment when the obviously the verdict comes down, half of our points, which would bump us down to, obviously, we know we'd be somewhere around 25 points, whatever, and your 4 points or roughly something like that clear of relegation. So changes things drastically. And yes, Michael Razzo, that's one way of putting it. Yes. It's going to be interesting, brutal, harsh. Again, we are seeing all the signs around us of how hard Juve is pushing this thing. Okay. Their appeal was 90 plus pages. They crushed like 9 major points, even though they were only going after 4. There was, in fact, no new evidence, and they proved that everything was the same as what got dismissed 2 times previously, And now, with this, also helps set a precedent to move forward. However, we all know very well in Italy, precedent doesn't mean jack shit. But one day at a time, everybody. And
actually, there was part of the appeal. It turns out came out today was there was 2 pieces of evidence brought up in the ruling for the minus 15 points. They used the Pjanic Arthur swap deal and the Marseille forged document. I believe that was the Ake deal. Those were not presented by the prosecution, but they were in the ruling for the minus 15 points. So Juventus is like, where did this evidence come from, right? It wasn't presented to you, but you're using it in your ruling. So those are That's another issue. This document with the 14th of April, 2021. If anyone doesn't know, you have 30 days to, to do your investigative work, and then 60 days for the complete investigation. So 90 days total. So they had until July 2021 to, do their, submit their things to the government. That one document could sink everything. So I had a conversation on Twitter and then offline with a gentleman. I believe it's a gentleman, with a person who's really interested in Italian law, and it was quite an interesting conversation. They mentioned this document could sink the Prisma case. So don't be surprised if FIGC comes for this capital gains and just says, all right, give them the points back. Let's look at some suspensions for Cherubini and Paratici and focus on the Prisma case. So that's also at play. Is FIGC doesn't want to lose anything on that Prisma case, which we still think is just going to be financial penalties. Let's get real. I don't think
it's going to be a reach for sporting.
So there's a lot going on here. We're still trying to figure it out ourselves, but there's still a lot to go through. But as Al always says, one step at a time.
One step at a time, one day at a time. Omar?
Yeah, there's not a lot to add. Anthony covered it. Right now it seems like there's a million outcomes to this scenario, and no one really knows. No. And every day something new pops up. We've talked about it earlier. Now FIGC want to create some sort of battle between Coney and Tar, because it's just a whole mess. So let's just wait and see. Hopefully you will get unscathed out of everything. Yeah. But that knee-jerk reaction of minus 15 points in the middle of the season really screwed them over.
Now, I want to put it out there.
I will say this, like Tar is it. Like Tar is the highest. So the fact that, again, they have ruled in favor of us getting this, which could kind of unlock everything for us, that's big. That's big, everybody. Big positive for sure. And
one thing I just want to add is, if you want the opinions of the All Juve cast, you come here, or you go to our individual Twitter accounts, which are listed here. You won't get it from the All Juve cast. Well, the main one I'll give my opinions match day, during the matches. Other than that, again, that is just to present the news to everybody from all angles. You should hear it from all angles. We're not going to be like North American news outlets that went from reporting the news to reporting their thoughts on the news.
Yeah. And one of the requests was that we would give more context if there is something like that. So for more context, just read the news we post every day. That's
and on the daily update videos, it's no different. People are asking questions. I'm answering them like the best I can for the information that we have. Every now and then, I will pick brains. I will pick Mirko Di Natale. I will reach out to Romeo Gressi. So if you guys have questions, by all means, fire it away on Twitter on the daily update videos. Real quick, getting people on TikTok caught up. Pogba showed up late off the squad list, okay? But get over to YouTube and your comments will get right onto the show. Now, we got FIGC appealed to Council of State against the Tar.
That's to Omer's point. That it's causing a big mess, and eventually someone's going to have to say, stop everything. This may force a new trial, and the prosecutor doesn't want to go through all that. So this is
interesting really with the FIGC, because the last we heard though was that the FIGC was going to steer clear after the regional arbitration court TAR's ruling, that they were going to stay clear and let it run its course. But now all of a sudden you're hearing contradicting things. Yeah. It's far from over, everybody. One day at a time, one step at a time. But I will say this, Juve, keep pushing, keep fighting. And when it's done, don't stop fighting back. I expect a full assault. Okay. Now,
before we jump topics real quick, I saw this question earlier. I saved it. Do you think there will be a countersuit? I don't know, but I think John Elkin should take the money he saves from the Rabiot salary, throw it into lawyers, and go after as many people as he can.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just saying. You have to fight back after this is all done, because the damage is done. Whether we get out of it and it's just fines or anything, it doesn't matter. You have to fight back because it affected the season. It affected Mercado. I'm sure it's going to affect the Mercado because we're far from over. Absolutely have to go after them. Now, back to the task at hand. Freiburg, Juventus. Key stats in this one. Obviously, this is the first meeting these guys are having as far as competitive matches go. Juve hasn't lost in its last 4 at home, 2 of them being clean sheets. Freiburg has scored the second most in Europa League group stages with 13 goals and conceded the second least with 3 goals. This is not going to be a cakewalk for Juventus by any means, and nothing really is. Players to watch for Juventus, again, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be Di Maria. So much creation is going to rely heavily on him, and for me, it's because of what we do out of the midfield. But I am really going to have eyes on Dusan Vlahovic. He cannot be a ghost in this game. And the questions leading up to this game have been, is it Max? Is it Dusan? It's both. But it's up to both of them to sort this out and get this guy involved. You can't have a 70 mil striker. And I've said this throughout the season. You can't have a 70 mil striker getting outplayed by the likes of Milik and Keane. No disrespect to either one of them. Okay. And Keane, not to say he's outplayed Vlahovic or whatnot, but the rates, the scoring rates, the contribution rates are very, very close. Now we're at a point where Vlahovic's numbers are dropping off from where he was at Fiorentina. Goals per minute dropping down. Shots per game have dropped down. Touches in the area have dropped down. It's all going down now. We have to get him. So my eyes are going to be obviously on Di Maria, Vlahovic, and it's going to be big for us. For Juventus, Locatelli could become key again if Freiburg has Daniel Kofi Chiera in there. Grifo will be one to watch for obviously Freiburg as well as Daniel Kofi Chiera. But you guys, players to watch and what you're going to be watching for in this one, Omer?
I'm going to watch Kostic a lot. I mean, he's the runner. He's the guy that makes the sprints, and they all look for him to pass them the ball. Di Maria and Rabiot especially, which is kind of sad. I was hoping we'd had someone else would make runs on the other side, maybe Cuadrado when he gets back into shape, hopefully. But for now, it's Kostic. We've seen it in recent games. They always look for him. That's about it. You talked about Dusan, very interesting. Interesting about Keane, too, if we will see him today, because he's suspended for 2 matches, so we don't have him against Sampdoria on Sunday, which means we're stuck with 1 striker. Interesting who we're going to see, but we'll get to that when we talk about Sampdoria. And the defense, watch everyone, because we are going to ask for men of the match and stuff. Watch all the guys, see who impresses you. Try to pick out key moments. It really helps us too.
Yeah. And Ealing Jr., obviously, he's not in this one. Deschilio's not in this one. Those are the guys out. And, of course, Pogba for being late. And we got into a discussion about that one. We'll leave that one. It is what it is. So those guys are out. Ealing Jr. one kind of sucks. Kostic, man, he just keeps going and going, but he's starting to look a little winded a little bit earlier in certain matches. Ealing would have been a good one to be able to bring off. This is going to be a very, very tricky game. Guys, we're going to have a Storm the Barn session where you guys can get all your questions in. Those of you on TikTok, you can either join YouTube and get your questions in directly, or I will take them from here and add them to the show. Now, prediction time. You know the drill. Prediction challenge here on AJC. Final score and then 2 tiebreakers. Now, who wants to kick us off on this one?
Okay. Can we just be real here? I'm with, again, me and Lucci are on the same page. These guys stink. What are we talking about? We shouldn't even be talking about a player named Grifo. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
He shouldn't even be brought
Monza,
up.
So does Sampdoria. So does the
You
list
know what
goes
I mean?
on and on.
But
let's go. Come on. Predictions.
God damn it.
I've heard it all before. I've heard book it. I've heard they stink. Let's go.
They do stink. Anyways. I do like a parlay of Juventus money line, Juventus halftime lead, and under 2.5 at plus 441. That's not a bad bet. Put a little bit of Chicote on that. I do like Danilo up to score at plus 2,300. That's a good bet.
Ooh.
Rabiot's at plus 700. That's also not a bad bet. So scoreline, I'm going to go 3-1 Juve, final score. That's also plus 1,500. I'm going to go over 6.5 yellow cards. in the game.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Juventus has more than 8.5 corner kicks.
Okay. Omer.
There you go. That should be good enough.
Yes, so I'm going with 2-0 Juve. We get a nice cushion for the away match. I'm calling with, and didn't talk about it, but we have the referee stats. And
I can bring those up if you need them.
I don't need them, but he's a bit trigger happy with the yellows and the reds. So I'm calling we keep the trend of a yellow in the first 5 minutes to someone for Juve.
Okay.
And possession. They're a team that they're actually 12th in the Bundesliga in possession. They don't hold much of the ball. So I'm calling us having a big portion of the possession, like 60-40. That's big for Juve.
All right. See what the feeling is in the chat here. Prediction 2-2. Dusan and Chiesa, man of the match. Rabiot. Jeremiah 4-2. Dusan, Di Maria, Kostic, Rabiot. He wants that kit, so he needs Rabiot to score. Anthony Trimboli 2-0. Juve, Chiesa, Vlahovic. Fede,
do you want the referee stats before we go? Before you do yours?
Yeah, hang on a sec. 3-1 from RB Comps. Alessio 2-0. Luca 1-1. Always
Luca
the positive one there. I'm forever optimistic before the games. Dell's coming in here with a 1-0. Hit me with the ref numbers here, Ant, before I lay my predictions down.
Okay, we got the man himself from the island of Grekos, the Greek referee Anastasios Sirdipoulos. This guy loves the red cards. I think he loves red cards more than I love Rocky Road ice cream. But he loves the red cards only in the Greek league. So in the Greek league, I got to bring up these numbers because they are wild. Let me bring them up real quick. In the Greek league, he's done 136 games. He's slapped out 49 reds in those games, 31 PKs. Now, I don't know if they're committing level 2 felonies against each other during those matches, but that is some unbelievable numbers. In the Europa League, though, he's given 6 reds, 5 PKs in 22 games, and he averages 5.1 yellows per game. But he hasn't given a red card since 2019, and that was against Antwerp, and he gave them 2. So,
all right,
he's not really trigger happy lately. But I think this is the one. But I think there was some stats on the PKs for Freiburg that Omer had.
Yeah, they have the most PKs in the Bundesliga. They have 7. I think they're going to dive a lot around the area.
So keep
and
an eye on
try
that,
to get
kids.
a penalty. And
all
that's
right.
the right referee to do it with.
Okay, prediction time. 2-1 Juve. 2-1 Juve. 1 goal will come from Vlahovic. 1 goal will be a PK. So I'm going to call it a PK goal.
Any goal or one of ours?
One of ours will be a PK, and Vlahovic will be one of the scorers. And I'm going to say that you do see somebody sent off. There will be a send-off. You sold me on this mad Greek man. Now, storm the barn, everybody. Now is your chance to get some questions in. All right. So everybody that's on TikTok as well, you can drop your questions in and I'll bring them into the show, which of course is live on YouTube. I'm going to remind everybody, like the video. And a reminder to everybody, if you enjoy the content, liking the video is huge. Subscribing to the channel. We've got Super Chat enabled also if you choose to. That's always much appreciated. And we have offered 20% off on everything at the YouTube merch store right now. So if you want to check out some of our designs, there you go. That's another way to show some love and support the channel. All right. So thank you very much to everybody who already has. Anth?
I'm just saying, we don't ask for much. Like, we do this for you. And we'll never charge for this. This is always going to be free, hopefully.
Always. Oh, yeah.
A little bit of help. We're
not gonna do that. But no, everything you guys do is always much appreciated. All right, now let's get to. We got one in right away. We'll get you guys. I don't know. Sorry. Do you guys have any question right now? Or should we just roll with Jeremiah to kick things off?
I want to jump on this one to say, Luca, absolutely no chance you have been. There is zero chance you've been more accurate than me. Anyway, sorry. Go.
Luca, have you learned how to play that damn keyboard yet? Let's go. Smokes. Hey, let's go. Okay, Jeremiah, if Dusan doesn't score tonight, can we... Wow, crucify him with harsh criticisms.
Jeez.
70 million drought is a big no for Juve standards. I'm sorry. I am not crucifying him by any means, and I've been pretty vocal about this one. I see it as a pretty healthy split between the coach and the player. If I'm looking at this thing, because again, if I'm looking at overall team play, overall group play, we are not really doing anything to help him. What was one of the keys that I said we would have to do in terms of hurting Roma? It was playing off your target guy because they like to stay rigid at the back and they don't usually surrender that line and that shape. So there would be opportunities there. We didn't play anyone close to him. And Roma was so easy to double team him and sometimes triple team him. And as far as numbers in the area, we barely had any against Roma. Sometimes we had 3 there. There are teams, Freiburg is one of them, that attack with 6. Freiburg is one of them. Whether or not they're going to do it to Juventus in our home is yet to be seen, but they like to attack and push in numbers. Now, in terms of Dusan Vlahovic, does he miss chances? Sure. But again, that's his failure, but there's still a big team failure in terms of getting him involved. I'm not going to crucify him if he, depending on how things go, if it's more individual today and he just shits the bed, say he gets 5 chances and a couple of them need to be goals, then I will get pissed off. Agreed. But if it's much of what we saw against Roma, I won't crucify him. What do you guys think?
Omer?
Go ahead, because I have a bit of a longer one, so maybe
do it.
Go
ahead, do it.
Okay, so I made a post yesterday about Allegri and young attacking players, which got a lot of traction. Mostly people agreed with me, some didn't. But the main point was that Allegri has trouble producing with young attacking players. Now, it's different this time around because in his previous tenure, the management could have afforded to buy him players that don't need training and they're a cut above and they can make things happen on their own, and he had a solid back line, so he could work with it. I mean, your Dybalas, Higuain, Mandzukic, Ronaldo, and some other guys have suffered from it, Bernardeschi, for example, because he didn't know how to fit him and how to make it work with other guys. Now it's the same problem. If we look back to Kulusevski, even Keane and Vlahovic and Chiesa, and we have some guys, even Locatelli. Locatelli's last goal contribution was 1 year ago. Did you know that?
Against Torino?
No, against Sampdoria, an assist. Since then, 1 year that he hasn't contributed, which is interesting, but he's a defensive midfielder, so that's not his main job. Now, Dusan has a problem. Dusan needs someone next to him. And Allegri is using him on his own. So he's always in the middle of the area. He doesn't have anyone. Milik is far better alone. He knows how to work as a lone striker in the box. Dusan needs someone next to him. But with Di Maria being the sole creator and wandering around all the pitch, Dusan is left alone. He can't do a lot with that. That's a big ask from a guy who's fairly young to make something out of every attack. So it's not that he doesn't score a lot. He doesn't get even shots per game. I mean, the shots that he does get are impossible situations that miraculously sometimes go in. But mostly he's struggling for service and he's left alone on an island. And that's a big problem that Max needs to solve. That's why I'm leaning towards the 4-3-3, because maybe he'll have someone next to him, or 4-2-3-1, so he wouldn't be stuck on an island. But that's my opinion. Can agree with it or not.
I still stand behind not having the back line to do it, but might have to try it at some point. Anth, what are your thoughts on the Dusan thing?
No, Omer put that out there nice and elegantly. It's hard to argue with that, right? He's got no one beside you. Just look at the game, and he has 2 center backs just absolutely clouding him. What's he going to do? What's he going to do with that? Again, Milik, when he plays with Milik, he does all the hard work, but you can't sacrifice Di Maria for Milik. Yeah, it's a tough call, and it's unfortunate because one, we got a lot of big games coming up, and we need him to score. Two, he's our only striker at the moment because the other two are out. Even for Inter, like even if Milik comes back for Inter, what's he going to provide? A couple minutes at the end of the game. We need Dusan to start firing today. I said in the last show, the season realistically started against Roma. Now we have 3 competitions. We got to run the gauntlet. We got a break right now in a couple weeks, but the season started last week. This is the season. This is when it's like balls to the walls, boys. Like you got to start producing.
Yeah.
Everybody has to produce.
Yeah. Allegri got to start using their abilities instead of forcing them into his mold and his system because it clearly doesn't work.
I think basically to sum this up, it's not all on Dusan, so I can't crucify just him. I can't do it. I can't do it right now because I'm seeing struggles everywhere, and Omer has highlighted some of those involving other players as well. Tony G is coming late to a meeting, worse than getting a red in 40 seconds. Hey, again, not against punishing players or disciplining them, but I think we need to look at prioritize the disciplinary actions. That's all.
We don't know if it's the first time though.
Is Conte capable of improving Fagioli, Miretti, and Rovella to an extent of being close or better than Marchisio?
That's a big ask.
Let's just temper that question. Has Fagioli improved this year?
Fagioli, Miretti, and Rovella to say that they're going to be closer or better than Marchisio or not. They have high potential. Is Conte... I would change the question to, can Conte help our players reach their maximum potential, and leave the question at that, because that's more so what it is. But closer, better to than Marchisio. I think Marchisio was always, his whole career, grossly underrated. That's me personally. And I think that we still don't know with these guys because the jury's still out. Miretti, I've been taking a lot of heat for my unpopular opinion about saying he might have to go on loan next year, depending on what happens with the team. But people were acting like I said sell the kid. I didn't say sell the kid, but if he's not going to get the minutes and his game isn't translating yet for us in Serie A, you got to get him somewhere where there's less pressure and less expectations to just kind of build himself up to the game, to the speed. There's a big jump from Serie C to Serie A, and it caught up to him in a hurry. But he's still a good player, still has high potential. Can Conte help these guys reach their maximum potential? What do you guys think?
Well, Conte's not coming, so it doesn't really matter.
No, but just the question in general, him as a coach, would he be the guy to help these guys reach maximum potential?
I think...
Okay.
For really quick, I think Conte finds a way to pull the maximum out of players. Like he breaks them down in preseason. Like you need him in a preseason, full preseason. He knows how to break players down and then build them up into a system. Whether he can do it with these players is unknown, but I think he would bring more of them out, more of their potential out than Max Allegri could.
Yeah. For one,
he can do that
I
with
don't
a lot of
want,
different players.
Number one, I don't want Conte back.
No,
I want
agree.
this team to stop going back in the past and recreating everything and trying to recreate everything. So I don't want Conte back. But in speaking of Conte and players, I see him to be a little bit similar of some of the things we criticize Gasparini for, and that's that his players are good for him, and when they go elsewhere, they're not as strong. So that's a credit to Conte, but I think it's more systematic and whatnot. And would it help these guys? I think they would probably be, Fagioli and Miretti would probably be a bit better integrated and probably suit the way he plays, and it's setup of midfield for Conte. That is the big difference. And I think it would actually suit Fagioli, number one, a lot. Miretti, I'm not so sure if he thrives in there or whatnot, potentially. Rovella, I think, honestly, Rovella would be good with either of those managers. And I just, again, I see a lot in Rovella, but I know some disagree with me. I think Conte would definitely help these guys more so than what we're seeing right now, just because of his system and the setup and what he gets out of the midfielders. That's all I'm going to say on that. But Omer?
Okay. So it's a two-part question. So first, is Conte capable? I think he gives players something that is unique to him. I mean, he improves players' mentalities and sacrifice on the pitch rather than their actual play style. He gives them something that every player needs. So he can improve on this aspect. Whether there will be as good or better than Marquisio, I mean, I hate comparisons. I hate the next Argentinian kid is going to be the next Messi. It literally ruins careers trying to play up to those standards, and everyone has different trajectories. Marquisio, when your team is bad, you see who are the really good players and who are not. So when we were in the banter era, it was undeniable that Marquisio is something special, that Chiellini is something special, and the rest weren't. Now there might be in the same situation those young guys, and we have to see how they perform if we do, have to face tougher times. If we don't, hopefully we'll get a manager that can bring more out of them. It might be Conte. I don't think or 100% want it to be him.
Yeah.
That Marco point, maybe we can just kind of dovetail into this one. Do you agree with that?
Need a coach who wore the shirt? I don't believe we do. I could see the reasoning for it based on you have a bit of a loss of culture that I think Max is trying his best to get back. But again, I've said it on a couple shows now. Every time we think this team's going to turn the corner, something they just kind of fall flat on their face. There's a lot to it. You're not going to fix this thing in 1 year. This is another point I had in a big Max discussion. Had a good discussion, but an argument, but it was a good argument and back and forth on Twitter about Max Allegri in general and just my thoughts, my feelings that, you can't deny all the all-time low records that we're hitting. And we can't keep reverting back to say, well, this team is in second place. Sure, we are in second place, but that has never been and won't be something to celebrate at Juventus. Is it a step up from last season? You can say yes based on the standings, but you can also look at the teams up at the top of Serie A right now are a joke. Like they are. Outside of Napoli, it's a joke. Like they're all like hit and miss and rather weak. So to say we're second in this Serie A, I'm not so much as thinking it's a big thing. Now, again, keeping in line with this, all right, the team has to continually progress, but not only the team, your players. And this is a big thing for me on Max. How many players are getting better, are growing, are improving? And then if you want to stick it to points, okay, you could go from a season of finishing fourth, getting in there, to a team where you're finishing second. Things are getting better, right? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And that's my thing with Max is, are we actually progressing? From the start of the year till now, we have. But is it enough? No, because I still think we have too many issues. And you can't have big players not firing for you and be worried year in, year out, who's going to want to come to this team and play for this team, or who's happy and who's not happy. You can't have that. You have to have the success of points and results, and you have to have your key guys integrated and happy. Like you have to have that. That's a big, big part of it.
And I think this is, so you and I, we disagree on Max sometimes, but we agree in the sense that he is the right manager for right now. Like it was, he the way he's handling everything, he is the right manager for right now. And he does have some negative stats that he's shown, but he also has some positive stats, right? Like the clean sheets. But I think like both things can be true. Like he's not the proper manager for right now, but he's actually doing a good job. Like it's okay to see both sides. You can't, like, I don't understand why people.
Jeremiah brought up an interesting one on this, Anthony. I'll just lead you in a kind of discussion. He said he is a good manager, but he's not necessarily being a good coach. What do you think about that statement?
Perfect. That's the perfect way to put it. Now, and moving forward, he's not the one to grow this team. I think we can all agree on that. But right now, as a manager, 100% Jeremiah correct. He is the right manager for this club, but he's not necessarily the right coach for the players. That's a great way of putting it.
If I had to say, and people will say, well, how do you differentiate that? Well, again, it comes down to player integration and whatnot. Coaching would be Dusan. You worked on him with his hold-up play. Why on earth can't we work on getting him more involved and maybe moving out of the area, not hitting there so fast and going out there being a pivot point? Like, you can do that. This is coaching. Offensive patterns of play. This is coaching. But management, as far as managing the roster, saying the right things at the press conference, building that mentality that, hey, you guys are actually, in fact, up here and stick. He's good at all that. But again, and people ask, it always comes down to this question. What would it take to be able to be comfortable with Max going on to next season? For me, it comes down to, again, if he can have us firing from here on out to the end of the season, whatever, and it doesn't have to be the whole time, but if he can get this offense firing and make a big jump and get Dusan like firing, Di Maria, get Chiesa involved and firing, then I'd say, okay, now we could probably move comfortably. And he's done a good job of integrating the young guys, but it's still so far off from what I need to be comfortable moving forward. The question was asked to me, and I'm going to leave it to you guys. Do you think we would be better with a different coach? Do you think we would have done better this season with a different coach? I thought about it for a while. My response during this argument was yes. Yes, I do actually think we potentially could have been better off, but there's a big question mark there. And this is to a credit to Allegri, is the 15-point deduction is a huge question mark, because I think we could have been better off with another manager based on how some of their systems play out and in the midfield, where I think we have better talent than how we show and utilize them. And I think that would in turn help unlocking a guy like Dusan Vlahovic and whatnot. So I think we would have been better from a performance standpoint. And I can't help but think of all the teams we lost to. We're sacrificing potential that we are far better than in terms of quality. But would another coach have handled the minus 15 points as well? I'm not certain. And to that, I give credit to Max. But Omer, your thoughts?
Well, that's his saving grace, mainly.
Yeah.
We're not having a bad season per se. We're having a bad season, but not due to us or to the players. It's just something that came out of left field and we couldn't do anything about it. Now, will we better? Depends on the coach. I mean, it can be a whole lot. I mean, you talked about someone who's played for Juve. That narrows it down. I don't like making, those choices. Allegri has... I kind of lost faith in him trying to evolve, because he forcefully trying to force players into a mold that he thinks is best, and he won't change the mold. I lost faith in that.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing that the players aren't, because we have players that we know what they're going to give you, and they're not going to be anything different. I mean, Deschilio, play him as much as you like. He's not going to become this super fast dribbler who gets into the area. No, he's going to pull to the side and cross. That's it. And you have to work with what you've got. Max seems to me like he doesn't try to work with what he's got on a personal level. It's just a big mold that he tries to make it work, but the players he have can't provide what he wants now.
Yeah.
Tough start to the season. This is why I'm still sort of backing Max. Tough start to the season. Pogba's out, Chiesa's out. Di Maria was hit and miss. Since the PSG loss, this team has 12 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses. So since the beginning of November, 12 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. Those losses are obviously Napoli, shit kicking, and then that Monza loss, which was 2 games after the minus 15. Okay, fair enough. And then last week to Roma. So again, for me, the season, to your point out, the season starts now. Like, everything built up to this point. You got everybody here now, even though you kicked Pogba out for the game, breaking rules are rules. But the season starts now. You have 13 games left of the season. You're still in the semifinals of the Coppa Italia. You're in the round of 16 for Europa League. This is where Max has to earn that paycheck. And if he doesn't, I wouldn't have a problem switching coaches next year. I don't know how you do it financially, but
yeah, that's going to be the kicker, is if Juve can, and it's like, it's a tough one, because nobody, and I know like the ones that are screaming, just change a coach already. Would you in fact spend the 60 million if we don't have the out of the contract break if we don't make it into European play. That's a lot of money, but you might have to. And that's my honest feeling. You might have to, because depending on how this stretch goes, if we continue to fall flat on our face in big games, here's the one thing. While statistically you brought up the numbers since PSG, which is good, our numbers continue to suck when we allow a goal. And we're not going to go through unscathed and not allowing goals. And that is why I need him to figure out the offense, okay? And even for the defense, which is supposed to be the be-all, end-all and the big claim to fame for him, even that is sketchy, which you can maybe put down to personnel or whatnot, but it's got to be more balanced out. And our record when conceding is piss poor. It's got to pick up. That's one that's really got to get it going for me to be comfortable moving forward. He's got to figure out the offensive side and bring balance, because we got to score more goals. We're not scoring nearly enough. We're not. We're going to keep it moving. If Juve qualify for Champions League next season, this is coming in from Forza Juve, and they win all the legal cases, who do you choose as your Rabiot replacement? So, Omar, who would you choose as your Rabiot replacement?
Okay, so let's narrow it down so it would be easier. They named 5 players this week in the news.
Fratesi, Hillman, Gonzalez, Coop Miners, and Sergei Milinkovic-Savic.
Exactly. Lecce are having a great...
Let's keep in mind that we've heard Fratesi wants Roma. We know Coop Miners has a crazy Atalanta price tag. And then Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, as reported for a couple of weeks now, Juve has dropped interest, and I think it's because of the price tag. That's probably not going to go down until he's just essentially free. So just keep that in mind, but go ahead.
Yeah, that kind of keeps me with only the Lecce guys. I think Hewland is fine from what I've seen. Lecce are having a good season. Obviously, the best one out of the guys is SMS. I don't think he's very viable. Maybe Fratesi. I mean, Bremer was also locked into Inter until he wasn't. So things can change. I think Fratesi would be my first realistic pick.
Yeah.
Coop Miners in second
all
place.
The legal cases.
For me, it's unpopular. Look, Paredes, Rabiot out, and with the guys we have, Rovella comes back, and honest to God, I know it's unpopular. Just bring Zach back and let him play, and let him play properly. I just don't think we gave him a fair shake of what we were asking for. The funny thing is, he contributed in asking him to play as this box to box and be this offensive threat on the right side, but it was largely different than how he played in the midfield before he came to us. But people have injury issues with him and whatnot. I get it and whatnot, but
it wasn't such an unpopular opinion.
I don't think we need to go too crazy, and I don't think we're still going to have the finances to go too crazy. The highest priority for this team, based on the talent we already have in the midfield, for me, remains fullbacks and a center back. That is the highest priority. We might also have to figure out the Dusan Vlahovic situation, okay? But if we're in European play, I would expect him to stay. So I'm going to say that he stays. My priorities are fullback and center back. Midfield, you don't have to get too crazy. Rovella, Fagioli, Miretti, Pogba, Locatelli, throw in Zach in there, and I'm actually okay, to be 100% honest.
It's not that unpopular. And from the question we posted on 6 guys to keep out of the 13 we have right now on loan and in the club, Zach came up pretty often, actually. It's not that unpopular. Yeah, I chose Zach too in one of my 6.
Is he even getting minutes at Chelsea? I have no idea.
I actually believe, or no, it's Rovella that's currently injured, unfortunately. But I think Zach, sorry, did Zach get injured again? He might have. But
just to kind of revert back to my stat about the 12 wins since PSG, 10 of those are clean sheets. So to your point, we've won 2 when the other team has scored.
Yeah.
So
we got to score
clean sheets. Got to score more.
Nice little Trailer Park Boys reference. What I got. Smokes.
Hilarious.
I love it. I do that
Corey,
all the
Trevor,
time,
Smokes.
all day, every day. Hey, Smokes. Let's go.
Smokes. Come on.
Our accountant, I give him shit at work. Hey, T-Force. Smokes. Let's go. Let's go. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Lucci needs some odds. Look it up yourself, man. Anyways,
Plus
Anthony,
250.
what's the number on Di Maria anytime goal?
Plus 250.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a Lucci size bet.
Lucci.
Faraz. When do you guys think would be a good time to try Kostic at left back? So we kind of got a little bit
Quarter
into
to
this
never.
earlier. I'm going to say that you will potentially have some games in Serie A where you could give it a shot, for sure.
Sunday.
Sampdoria, maybe, but if depending on the minutes he gets in this one, maybe not. But you could.
Oh yeah, he's no sub tonight.
There will be a couple opportunities to try it in Serie A. But again, at this stage of the game, I don't know.
Piggyback off of that one. Which one of these two would you put back there in a
Kostic.
pinch? I think I would agree with that.
If I had to pick, like gun to my head, who would I rather? Kostic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mainly because of the age. Right
He's
now,
more
he's
physical too.
experienced.
He's a lot more
Yeah.
physical. Illing's pretty flash, right? He's pretty flash. He's better advanced. I don't know if and the shout's been there for him as a wing back too. And a wing back a little more forgiving, and I'd probably do it without a problem. And I think he should see minutes as a wing back. As an all-out fullback, he's got some work to do. But Kostic is more physical. That's why I would trust him more. But he still has lapses in trailing in runs behind and whatnot. But
I see why people say, "Oh, he's a left winger. He should be able to play left back." It's a completely different position. So I don't see it like an easy transition.
In the way we play, the defense is a unit. The attack is just sort of work for the guys. So he needs to know how to work with the rest of the defense. If he hasn't worked on that, it's a problem. That's what Max does.
Right.
In attack, it's different. Illing is more, you can work with him, but he needs time there to learn how to perform in that role.
Yeah.
Which I believe Kostic would be more suited to, but honestly, we need someone new. I mean, we can't bank on that.
Would you put either one of them over Sandro at left back?
As a outright fullback, yes, either one.
Yeah.
I think I would choose this this Apple mouse over Sandro as an outright left back.
I don't think I'd agree with that.
But we're gonna wrap things up here, everybody. Big one today. Juve's got to get the job done. Unfortunately, like I said, work. Hey, gotta work. These midweek ones are always tough. No watch along, but for Sampdoria on Sunday, you will get a watch along. Everybody, all right. Please drop a like on the video. You guys in live chat, fantastic as always. All right, appreciate
one thing about the weekend. Here in North America, we're switching our clocks.
Yes.
So on Sunday, we are going to be an hour. We're going to at our regular time, 8:30 Eastern. But for Omer and Europeans and anybody else, we are an hour earlier.
It's going to be an hour earlier
for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then everybody else switches their clock.
Daylight savings. Yeah. Gotta love it. Forza Juve. Fino alla fine, guys. We got to get this win today, okay? It's a big one. Max says he wants to see the positive attitude. He wants to see us lay the foundation for going through in the second leg. Yes, Max, we all want that, all right? So let's hope that they bring it and get the job done. All the nonsense about the Pogba, and this is another thing that does frustrate me about that situation is that it is avoidable. So still extremely, extremely frustrating from Paul Pogba. The Keane thing, I get the controversy. Regardless, let's get the job done today, okay? Got to go out there and you got to take it to this team, all right? It's going to be a battle of inform versus quality. We are the better quality side on paper, but on paper means nothing. You got to get the job done. Let's go. Crush these bastards. All right, let's go. Fino alla fine, casi tutti. And hey, thank you for joining us for the first time and glad you enjoyed. All right, everybody,
be a
like
friend,
the video,
tell a friend,
subscribe to the channel, and hey, feel free to share the content. We are going to be back tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, to recap what we hope is going to be a Juventus victory. As always, fino alla fine, forza Juve, ciao tutti.
Yeah.